Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fearless Floyd Show. As always, I am your host, Fearless Floyd. Today, we're going to talk about the QFS, the Quantum Financial System, SWIFT, and Basel III. Is there such thing as a quantum financial system? Is it in the future? Does it already exist? Have we already incorporated the SWIFT system into the new quantum financial system? And if there is, where is the quantum financial system at? Or who's running it? Who created it? So we're going to take a deep dive, and I'm going to go through basically the basics with you. And we're going to go through and we're going to look up some definitions of what words mean, because words have meaning. And we're going to break this down individually so you have a comprehension of exactly what the QFS, the Quantum Financial System, actually is, what the SWIFT system is, and what Basel III is. Because we keep hearing over and over and over people pontificating that we're on the QFS system. You're going to get some QFS card. So let's take a deep dive. Let's go find out what's actually true and what's actually false. We'll begin with the definition of the SWIFT system. So let me go pop that up for you guys. Now, I just use Wikipedia because it's, take it with a grain of salt, as always, but it's just a basis, okay, for you to go do your own research. SWIFT, the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication, SWIFT. Let me repeat that. The Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication, SWIFT. Legally, SWIFT SC is a cooperative established in 1973 in Belgium and owned by the banks and other member firms that use its service. SWIFT provides the main messaging network through which international payments are initiated. It also sells software and services to financial institutions, mostly for use on its proprietary SwiftNet, and assigns ISO 9362 business identifier codes, BICs, popularly known as SWIFT codes. As of 2018, around half of all high-value cross-border payments worldwide used the SWIFT network. And in 2015, SWIFT linked more than 11,000 financial institutions in over 200 countries and territories who were exchanging an average of over 32 million messages per day, compared to an average of 2.4 million daily messages in 1995. SWIFT is headquartered in La Hope, near Brussels. I hope I pronounced that correctly. If I didn't, please forgive me. It hosts an annual conference called CBOS, specifically aimed at the financial services industry. We can go into a little bit of the history here. Here's the ownership and governance. Here's the operations, services, operations centers, Netherlands, Culpeper, Virginia, United States, Diessenhofen, Switzerland, and Hong Kong. Here's the networks, the standards, supervision. SWIFT is not a payment system. Let me repeat that. SWIFT is not a payment system, and thus neither regulated nor supervised as such, but is nevertheless deemed to be systematically important and thus under the oversight of public authorities. Here's their leadership. Nobody's name that I recognize. Chief executive officers, again, nobody I recognize. Controversy and efficiency. SWIFT has been criticized for inefficiency. In 2018, the London-based Financial Times noted that transfers frequently pass through multiple banks before reaching their final destination, making them time-consuming, costly, and lacking transparency on how much money will arrive at the other end. I'm not going to get into all of this because this is going to be probably, I would say, 45 minutes to an hour video to show you all of the information. SWIFT and sanctions. In January 2012, the advocacy group United Against Nuclear Iran, UANI, implemented a campaign calling on SWIFT to end all relations with Iran's banking system, including the Central Bank of Iran. UNI asserted that Iran's membership in SWIFT violated U.S. and EU financial sanctions against Iran, as well as SWIFT's own corporate rules. Israel, Russia, and Belarus. There's a little bit on security. See also BRICS Pay, electronic money, Indian financial system code, single euro payments area, TIPANET value transfer system. So that is the SWIFT system. Give me 1 second. All right, and I'm back. Apologize for that. I've been having internet issues. I had to talk to a technician. So we're going to move on to Basel III. So let's go check that out after we have already reviewed SWIFT and exactly what SWIFT is. Well, I don't know why I didn't do that. There we go. Basel III. Basel III is the third of 3 Basel Accords, a framework that sets international standards and minimums for bank capital requirements, stress tests, liquidity regulations, and leverage, with the goal of mitigating the risk of bank runs and bank failures. It was developed in response to the deficiencies in the financial regulation revealed by the 2008 financial crisis and builds up the standards of Basel II, introduced in 2004, and Basel I, introduced in 1988. Basel III requirements were published by the Basel Committee on Banking Supervision in 2010 and began to be implemented in major countries in 2012. Implementation of the Fundamental Review of the Trading Book, FRTB, published and revised between 2013 and 2019, has been completed only in some countries and is scheduled to be completed in others in 2025 and 2026. Implementation of the Basel III finalizing post-crisis reforms, also known as Basel 3.1 or Basel III Endgame, introduced in 2017, was extended several times and is now scheduled to go in effect on July 1st, 2025, with a 3-year phase-in period. Let me repeat that, okay? Basel III finalizing post-crisis reforms, also known as Basel 3.1 or Basel III Endgame, introduced in 2017, was extended several times and is now scheduled to go into effect on July 1st, 2025, which was 5 days ago. Yep, 5 days ago, with a 3-year phase-in period. Okay? So that means Basel III is coming online as of July 1st with a 3-year phase-in period, folks, okay? So it's not going to be implemented all at once in every country in the world on July 1st, 2025. It's going to take time for it to phase in. And if we go up here, it already tells you that some of these countries, right here, revised between 28, and it has been completed only in some countries and is scheduled to be completed in others in 2025 and 2026. So that's where we are with Basel III. And here we can get into the nitty gritty minutia of exactly what these requirements are. But basically, the banks can only hold so much money, lend so much money, and, that's what its requirements are. So it has to have liquidity to be able to sustain any abnormal financial transactions. This is why you cannot walk into a bank with a $100,000 cashier's check from Chase Bank into a Wells Fargo, and they're going to hand you $100,000 cash right there on the spot. It just doesn't happen. They probably have $100,000 in the vault, but are they going to give it to you all at once and basically break the bank, which means they have to order more from the Federal Reserve? And in that time, there could be customers that come in and want their money, and it's not available because they gave all 100,000 of it away in one fell swoop. But Basel III finalizing post-crisis reforms, because that's where we're at right here, folks. Basel III finalizing post-crisis reforms standards cover further reforms in 6 areas. Standardized approach to credit risk, internal ratings based on approach for credit risk, credit valuation adjustment risk, the process through which counterparty credit is valued, priced, and hedged using standardized approach. Operational risk, a standardized approach for operational risk for a bank based on income and historical losses. Output floor replaces Basel II output floor with more robust risk-sensitive floor and disclosure requirements. Finalized leverage ratio framework, buffer for global systematically important banks. Definitions and requirements, exposure measures for on-balance sheet exposures, derivative securities, financial transactions, off-balance sheet items. Okay? Because there's a lot of off-balance sheet items that these banks possess that are not on their books, that are an albatross weighing the bank down and their strength. So they've been weakened. Why have they been weakened? Because back during Trump's administration, when the Federal Reserve Bank should have raised the lending rate, the interest rate, and they did not. It was actually less than zero for a hot minute. And these banks just went in and bought up all these freaking securities that they could buy with no interest rate. Looked like a great deal until the future came along. And here we are in the future, folks. And they're sitting on a pile of dirty money, is what it is. So next, we're going to move on to the quantum finance. Quantum finance. And again, this is Wikipedia, and I'm going to get into a little bit more on the quantum financial system, the QFS. Quantum finance is an interdisciplinary research field. Let's back that up. Hang on. It's a what, Floyd? It's an interdisciplinary research field. So they're just researching, right? Right. Applying those theories and methods developed by quantum physicists and economists in order to solve problems in finance. It's a branch of econophysics. There's a new word for you. Econophysics is a non-orthodox interdisciplinary research field applying theories and methods originally developed by physicists in order to solve problems in economics, usually those including uncertainty or stochastic processes of nonlinear dynamics. Yeah, we're going to get into some real, mumbo jumbo here, but just let's stay on the basics. Most quantum option pricing research typically focuses on the quantization of the classical Black-Scholes-Merton equation from the perspective of continuous equations like Schrodinger equation. Emmanuel Haven builds on the work of Ziquan, Chen, and others. Forgive me if I massacred that. but considers the market from the perspective of Schrodinger equation. The key message in Haven's work is that the Black-Scholes-Merton equation is really a special case of Schrodinger equation where markets are assumed to be efficient. And we can go on and on and on about what quantum finance is. And right here, you see the Bose-Einstein assumption. So now we're dealing in Einstein genius territory, which is a little bit above my no pay grade because I don't get paid to do this. So there you go. There's quantum finance straight from Wikipedia. Okay. So we're gonna go look at something else, and I'm gonna take you through this. And we're gonna get through this together, folks. All right. And listen, I'm in this with you. Okay. It's not like hair sticking up. It's not like, I'm trying to shame you, embarrass you, belittle you, because I'm not. I'm trying to educate you and inform you. So you can stop listening to these gurus who seem to know everything. And listen, I don't know where they find the time or the creative imagination to write some of these fantastical, phantasmagorical tirades that they post. And I got another one this morning. And here, let me pop it up real quick. I don't know if I can figure out where I have it. Oh, it's over here in this other one. Now, I've seen this dude pop up lately. People send me stuff, and this is from Paul White, Gold Eagle. And this is what he says, okay? Revealed. The St. Germain Trust, the $1 trillion trigger behind Nasara Jasara and the final reset. For generations, they told you it was a myth, a fantasy whispered in conspiracy forums. But now, in 2025, the silence is breaking. Their St. Germain Trust is real. It is structured. It is active. It is active. It is active. That's what he's saying right here. It's active. And it is the single greatest financial weapon, a weapon created to free humanity from economic enslavement. Trillions in gold-backed value. Okay. That described it perfectly there, Paul. Thank you, Paul. I really appreciate you explaining that to me, Paul. Exactly what is gold-backed value. Okay, folks. So I guess you can just run down to your Walmart and get your house brand True Value. And it's going to be gold back in trillions. Probably not. Locked away for over a century, folks. So we're going back to 1925. You think so? I don't know. Now aligned with Nasara Jasara and the quantum reset that globalists can no longer contain. Ooh. This is not a theory. It is the financial core behind every provision in Nasara Jasara. Debt cancellation, sovereign wealth, zero tax, asset-backed currency, and human-focused innovation. The trust was designed to be released only after the collapse of fiat rule. And that collapse is unfolding now. The central banks are bleeding. The IRS is panicking. The Vatican is disclosing, and the military alliance is moving. What is it? A planetary trust fund secured in vaults, treasuries, off-ledger instruments tied to real gold, metals, and energy, not digital speculation, not paper fiat, tangible wealth collected and protected for the day humanity would awaken its purpose. Simple: erase national and personal debt, fund Nasara in the US and Jasara worldwide, provide monthly stipends during economic transition, finance healing tech, clean energy, sovereign schools, restore what was stolen by banks, empires, and monarchies. This is not aid, this is restitution. For decades, the elite tried everything to keep it buried. They used the Chevron doctrine to let agencies control land and resources. They deployed psychological warfare to label all mentions as conspiracy. They assassinated whistleblowers and buried audits, but the structure held. The codes were secured, and now their firewall has fallen. The Supreme Court's recent death blow to Chevron unlocked legal access to the trust. That wasn't just a court ruling, it was the first crack in the vault. Trump knows he's just not returning to govern. He's returning to unlock. Behind the scenes, asset seizures under EO 13848, ISO 20022 integrations, BlackRock collapses, and the QFS onboarding all point to one convergence: the trust is being prepared for activation. United States Treasury notes, USTN notes with real serials, gold matching, Vatican backdoor accounting, clawed back, global fiat transition mechanisms quietly tested. Every sign points to 2025 as the year the lock breaks. And when it does, we will see global debt forgiveness, the collapse of fiat institutions, QFS-linked metal-backed digital currencies, public rollout of suppressed wealth systems, full eradication of offshore taxation and IMF control, the rise of sovereign non-corporate governments. This is not political reform. It is a financial coup for the people, and the elites failed to stop it. They tried to rewrite the code. They tried to reroute the disbursement mechanisms. They tried to frame the truth tellers and manipulate inheritance lines. But the trust survived them all. And now it stands as the final trigger to bankrupt globalism, erase digital slavery, and restore the wealth of the world to the people it was stolen from. The St. Germain Trust isn't coming. It's already here. Its silence was never proof of absence. It was timing. Now the world watches as history flips, and the system they built to enslave humanity becomes the weapon that frees it. And this time, it's irreversible. So, if you want to follow this guy, you're more than welcome to go follow him. Me, I'm going to label him exactly what he is. He's a fucking clown, espousing some fantastical theory that hasn't come true, isn't true, is not going to come true. I'm sorry, folks. Okay. Because we're going to dive in more. I've got a lot more for you in this video to show you exactly, how much bullshit these people are pumping in you. Okay. Because when the person that sent me this morning, and this is what I texted them back. Okay. I don't want you to see their name. Got to protect my sources. That dude is just another clown espousing fantasies. Okay, that's exactly what I write. And she writes, which part? Which part? All of it. Every bit of it. Because you remember when he said, pull it up for you over here. Oh, I killed it. I deleted it. I'll pop it back up 1 second. And folks, I don't have time to sit here on the phone with you and break this down for you. So that's why I do videos. Come on, clown. Down here at the bottom. Oh, BlackRock collapses right here. Okay. Let me explain something to you, folks. If BlackRock collapses, uh, you're going to know it before BlackRock does. Okay. Because BlackRock owns so much stock in so many different companies that you rely on each and every day. I'm sure you have a tab open in your laptop or on your phone or on your computer that BlackRock owns. It would go disappear. Uh, I don't know where these people find these ideations and write this crap. And there's so many of you out there, and God bless your heart, sweet little soul. God bless their sweet little soul. Please, 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 please. Please don't let them perish for lack of knowledge. That's all I can tell you, folks. Okay. I've told you over and over and over. If you're chasing the RV dream, man, go get a life. Okay. All right. So let's go read. You know, it is what it is. So we're going to do what we do. The quantum financial system, that's just what I put in here and hit search. The quantum financial system, QFS, is a proposed financial system that leverages quantum computing to offer enhanced security, speed, and transparency in financial transactions. It aims to address the limitations of traditional financial infrastructure and potentially replace existing systems like SWIFT. Potentially replace existing systems like SWIFT. The QFS is designed to operate on a decentralized, tamper-proof platform using quantum computing principles to ensure an impenetrable shield against hacking attempts. One of the key features of the QFS is its use of quantum computing technology, which allows for secure and instantaneous transactions. Unlike traditional financial systems that rely on centralized authorities, the QFS operates on a peer-to-peer network, reducing the control any single entity might have. The system is believed to be fully transparent, ensuring all financial activities are visible, thus reducing corruption and fraudulent activities. Despite the potential benefits, the QFS faces several challenges, including the early stages of quantum computing development, which I have covered repeatedly, and the regulatory landscape. Governments and regulatory bodies may be hesitant to embrace a decentralized financial system like the QFS, as it could challenge their authority and control over the financial industry. The QFS is still a conceptual. The QFS is still in the conceptual and developmental stages with no verifiable evidence of its existence or implementation. However, the potential impact of quantum computing on a financial sector is recognized, and researchers are exploring the application of quantum physics theories to finance. The QFS is expected to integrate with existing financial systems and blockchain technologies to ensure a seamless transition and interoperability. It is also anticipated that the QFS will have the capacity to process billions of transactions per second, redefining financial transparency and accountability. While the QFS is not yet a reality, let me repeat that. While the QFS is not yet a reality, it represents a new frontier in the world of finance with the potential to transform the way we conduct financial transactions. There you go. Quantum financial system, folks. All right. Oh, let's continue on and on and on and on. This article is from MSNBC, I believe. Right here. Quantum computing is having a moment, but the technology remains what, folks? Futuristic, which means it does not exist as an operational platform. Quantum technology startups attracted about $2 billion in investments in 2024, according to McKinsey Incorporated. This is by Kif Leswing, and I'm going to go pop up the original. CNBC, I'm sorry. This was published Friday, June 27th, 2025. So, like 10 days ago. That's how fresh this is. Quantum computing has the attention of the most powerful institutions in the world, including Google, Microsoft, Amazon, IBM, and the U.S. government. Startups in the space attracted about $2 billion in 2024, according to McKinsey and Company. But the technology has limited real-world application today and is mostly focused on simulating chemistry and physics. Here's Microsoft's Majorana 1 quantum computing chip. It doesn't quite have the buzz of artificial intelligence, but quantum computing is having a moment of its own. Some of the most powerful institutions in the world, including Google, Microsoft, Amazon, IBM, and the U.S. government, are spending many millions of dollars in the race to develop and build the first practical quantum computer. Repeat that, Floyd. Some of the most powerful institutions in the world are spending many millions of dollars in a race to develop and build the first practical quantum computer. Okay, Floyd. Startups focused on quantum technology attracted about $2 billion last year, according to McKinsey and Company report, as investors pile into an industry that could have nearly $100 billion in revenue within a decade. There isn't much business today, though. In total, quantum computing companies generated under $750 million in revenue in 2024, according to the same report. But more and more, we're hearing about a big breakthrough. In the past year, Microsoft unveiled its first quantum chip. Google executives said the technology may only be 5 years away. Amazon showcased its error-correcting quantum processor, and IBM outlined its plan to build a meaningful quantum computer by 2029. When? 2029. How far away is that, Floyd? 4.5 freaking years. So if you're ready to sit around about 54 months, you can start counting them now if you want. We're going to get to 2029 where IBM is going to build its first meaningful quantum computer. Joining them are scores of smaller companies and universities working on the underlying mathematics, software, or potential business model. Some of the companies are even publicly traded and can see their stocks soar or collapse based on a kernel of news. In January, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang sent quantum computing stocks reeling when he said 15 years. How long, Floyd? 15 years was on the early side in considering how long it would be before quantum computing would be useful. He said at the time that 20 years was a time frame that a whole bunch of us would believe. Now, who is this guy, the CEO, Jensen Huang? Well, they make the fastest computer chip in the freaking world. Okay? They will not sell that chip to China. The United States can get it currently. That's where we're at. So how long did this man, who's on the cutting edge of AI and robotics, which I have profiled in numerous videos on my show, he said it is 15 years on the early side. All right. So now, hang on, whoa. I know you're all panicking now. You're going, oh my God, Floyd just said 54 months. And then this guy over here, he's saying 15 years. Oh my God, what are we going to do? Save your tears. Save your wallowing in pity, self-pity, because there is an answer. There is a solution, and it's going to come towards the end of the show. And I'm going to bring it to you, and I'm going to show it all to you. And I'm going to bless your sweet little soul with an education. You didn't have to go do your own research, but guess what? Next time you're in a room with all those clowns and they start going blah, 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 spouting off all these fantasies, these untruths, these lies, the dishonesty, the grifting, the con, the scam, come join my platform for $5 a month or $10 a month or $100 a month so I can continue to lie to you and baffle you with my bullshit brilliance, because that's what they're doing. They want you to stay uninformed, uneducated, illiterate, because they can throw all this shit at you and you're just like, okay. They repeatedly post these fantasies on Twitter, X, Telegram, Facebook, all these social media platforms, and it's all a lie. There's a little bit of it, just a little bit of it in there that's the truth, just enough to tell your subconscious, like, oh, okay, pay attention to that. But you're reading the rest of the garbage. And because you've heard it so many times over and over and over, and you've heard it from these people that you hang out with, sometimes twice a day, every day, and they keep blowing the smoke up your ass, man, and you're just like puffing on that hopium going, oh my God, this feels great, man. Can I get some more lies? Because, man, I can't wait till tomorrow and we go to the QFS and I can go to the bank and get rich. And all my problems go away. Yeah, July 4th, everything's going to change. It'll be the great reset. We're going in the golden age. Trump's going to wave his magic wand. All my debt's going to be forgiven. No more credit cards. I'm going to have universal basic income. No more bar system. No more court system. We're going back to the 1871 Republic. Oh, man. And I'm going to go exchange all my foreign currency and I'm going to be fucking stupid, wealthy, rich. And we're going to be on the QFS system. And I'm going to have a QFS card with unlimited wealth. God damn, that opium feels good. Buzzkill. Sorry. I popped in bubbles. That's what I say, man. I break hearts, because the truth fucking hurts. And don't think it doesn't hurt for me. You don't think I wanted to wake up July 5th and go, hey, man, my trust is freaking stupid, freaking wealthy. Now, because I'm the beneficiary, guess what? Oh, man. Life on Easy Street. Nope. Didn't happen. Well, what happened? We got lied to because these people don't know jack shit. They're lying to you. And I'm going to show you that they're lying to you. Because anybody who tells you that there's a quantum financial system, they're lying. If they tell you there's a quantum financial card, they're lying. If they tell you need to go register somewhere for a quantum something, they're lying. If they tell you, hey, send all your foreign currency over here, we're going to send you a safekeeping receipt, they're lying. You just gave your money away. These people are fucking lying to you. Sorry. I hate the one to keep saying that over and over and over, but these people are fucking lying. They're liars. They're dishonest. They have no integrity. They're sociopaths. They don't know how to apologize. They never have self-accountability. They never will be able to stand up in front of you and go, I swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but truth, so help me God, on my life, on my future. They never do that. And they never hold themselves accountable. You know what? I had that person on my show. That person just came on here and just, I thought they were honest. I thought they were, genuine, but they weren't. They lied. And I apologize to my audience for that. I've done that. I will continue to do that. I do get duped. Yeah, even me. So for all of you out there who, you know, have done something to me and you never apologize to it, bye. I don't want nothing to do with you. Because if you can't be accountable to me, you're not going to be accountable to yourself. If you're not accountable to yourself, you're in denial. You're lying to yourself. So if you're lying to yourself, you're going to lie to everybody else. Those are not the people I want to be around. I need to be around positive people who have integrity, honesty, good faith, honor, clean hands. People who have no reason to lie. But there's a bunch of them out there, and we're going to continue. So, we've already gone through quantum computing having its moment, correct? Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, let me dive in here a little bit more on this one. All right. And we went through there, and yeah. All right. So after he said 15 years, 20 years, 2 months later, CEO Jensen Huang walked back the comments, but also expressed surprise that they moved markets or that there were even markets to be moved. How could a quantum computer company be public? Huang said in March. Right now, there isn't anything useful that let me start over on that one. Right now, there isn't anything useful that quantum computers can do. They're purely for research. But the promise is clear. If the technology works, it can crunch certain kinds of numbers and do some tasks that are currently impossible on a traditional computer, or that would require so much time that the universe would end before they were completed. To imagine a quantum computer, you have to fundamentally change how you consider what it means to compute. A traditional computer works because there are billions of transistors on every chip. Those transistors can be ones or zeros, on or off. In large numbers, transistors can represent nearly every number, refer to parts of the system's memory, and do arithmetic. That's how every computer in the world works today. In a quantum computer, the system uses qubits instead of transistors. It's far more complicated than ones and zeros. Whether qubits are on or off is determined by quantum mechanics, and all of the qubits are entangled, which means a change in one will affect the probability of the others. Making qubits work can require significant infrastructure. For example, some quantum computers have to be operated at very cold temperatures near absolute zero. So far, a lot of the applications for quantum have to do with simulating chemistry and physics. Quantum computers will not be the compute of choice for every application, and that's okay, said Krista Svor, Microsoft's Vice President of Advanced Quantum Development. Even if we just use quantum computers for material science and chemistry, 96% of the world's manufactured goods rely on chemistry and material science. Encryption. Well, let's talk about encryption. There's one well-understood use for quantum computing today, encryption. And that's why the U.S. government and others around the world are closely tracking the technology's development. It's a matter for national defense. The fear is that quantum computers will be able to crack our digital secrets, said John Young, operating chief of the Americas division of Quantum eMotion, a quantum security company. Currently, most passwords, WhatsApp text, financial transactions, and other important messages are encrypted, which means they're scrambled and can't be read if the data is stolen or observed. but quantum computers will be able to factor numbers quickly, which could allow hackers or other attackers to efficiently find the codes needed to decrypt important secrets. Security researchers worry about what they call Q-Day, or the day when an effective quantum computer is created. Let me repeat that for you, folks. Security researchers worry about what they call Q-Day, or the day when an effective quantum computer is created. They predict chaos when passwords encryption start to mysteriously fail. Alongside its potential benefits, quantum computing also poses significant risks for the economic national security of the United States, the Biden White House said in 2022 in a national security memo. Cryptographically relevant quantum computer could jeopardize civilian and military communications, undermine supervisory and control systems for critical infrastructure, and defeat security protocols for most internet-based financial transactions, the memo said. There is no practical application or algorithm that can be run on a quantum computer that can't today be accomplished on a normal silicon-based digital computer. However, several groups say they've proven quantum supremacy, indicating that they've run a problem on a quantum computer that would have taken far longer with a traditional computer. The actions were all abstract. So we can go on and on and on in this article. I can continue to read, worry about China. Absolutely, we need to worry about China. And there's Jensen Huang right there, the CEO of NVIDIA. Let's see what he has to say.
There's an inflection point happening in quantum computing. The number of logical qubits are starting to grow. Well, just like Moore's Law would, I could totally expect 10 times more logical qubits every 5 years, 100 times more logical qubits every 10 years. Those logical qubits would become better error corrected, more robust, higher performance, more resilient, and of course, will continue to be scalable.
Talking about developing new materials, Jim, at the molecular level, perhaps down the road. They do have this partnership with Novo on drug discovery.
Look, I've been waiting for that. Recursion was supposed to be 1, 2, and the drug person is excellent. I'm keep hoping that they do some big deals on cancer. You're able. I've been listening to a lot of people who claim they have AI, and it's starting to bother me again because they're doing spreadsheets and calling it AI. After working with all of the sites that are now saying they're really good at math, they're awful at math. What bank would let them in? But you're seeing, I mean, I did a piece last night that basically said, okay, here we go. IONQ, D-Wave Quantum, Rigetti, quantum computing, go get them. And David, look at that. I'm not saying I'm a sage. No. I am saying that Jensen is giving the green light to a lot of companies that may mean absolutely nothing, but they have quantum in their name. I mean, Honeywell has been very honest and said, listen, we're not ready. Right. And IBM does have quantum. And that's one of the reasons why IBM is at an all-time high.
Those are incredible moves. If you were lucky enough to have decided that quantum was where you wanted to be at the beginning of this year, you are very happy, or even last year.
Well, what do you mean
guys,
by that?
Well, I mean, I think it's not yet proven, right? We don't know.
But it's younger people who are really cashing in. And you've sit here and tell people to buy Smucker.
You've made this point, right? You've made this point about nuclear and certain crypto assets.
Well, it's very disheartening. I'm disheartened by it.
Well, don't be disheartened.
Why?
By the way,
what value added do we have? I read the names.
You want to get heartened? Read Sam Altman's blog post from last night. It's entitled "The Gentle Singularity," and we had Jensen. I think when you talk about the leaders right now in terms of where the future is, it's Jensen, and it's a lot of it's Sam Altman.
Well, they're great friends. And you remember, nothing took off.
I took out a few things that took out a few things that just struck me in what is what is a letter that I think people should read because it's got a lot of different things in it. But part of it is, of course, talking about the near-term advances that are coming. As for the 2030s, for example, he writes, intelligence and energy ideas and the ability to make ideas happen are going to become wildly abundant. We hear that word a lot, by the way, abundant. These two have been the fundamental limiters on human progress for a long time. With abundant intelligence and energy and good governance, we can theoretically have anything else. He goes on to say, if we have to make the first million humanoid robots the old-fashioned way, but then they can operate the entire supply chain, digging and refining minerals, driving trucks, running factories to build more robots, which can then build more chip fabrication facilities, data centers, and the rate of progress will be quite different. And finally, last part I'll take for you guys, and the one I've been focused on, there will be very hard parts, like whole classes of jobs going away. But on the other hand, the world will be getting so much richer so quickly that we'll be able to seriously entertain new policy ideas we never could before. We probably won't adopt a new social contract all at once, but when we look back in a few decades, the gradual changes will have amounted to something big.
Well, okay.
Because nobody's going to have a job, so we're all going to be wandering around looking for some purpose. But we're going to have an age of abundance. An age of abundance.
It drives me crazy.
Thank you.
We have succeeded. A birth rate.
My work here is done.
We have a birth rate that's like the Handmaid's Tale, and we need people. And you may think that and we're rounding up people in this country and sending them where God knows where. We don't let anybody in the country. We have a series of jobs now that the only people who really wanted them were people who felt, look, this is how I can get my kid to a college, which is really kind of the goal. And you're going to need all the robots you can get, and you need robots making the robots. And I don't know why you are so cavalier about the idea that we have enough people in this country to do jobs.
I'm not talking about the population at this point in terms of the lack of growth in certain countries. Obviously, our country is far from in danger. South Korea, they got a real problem. That's something like
Italy has
7. In Italy, yeah. But all that said, I just want to point out that you're going to continue to hear, whether it's this, whether it's Musk or Altman or Hassabis at DeepMind, this idea of an age of abundance coupled with huge social changes that may have to take place in the social safety net, perhaps,
revolution.
Or a universal income. It's coming fast, Carl.
How about those
potentially? Now, I always sit here and remember we talked about autonomous cars 7 years ago, like they'd be here tomorrow, and they're finally just about
and they're about to fly too. I mean, Joby just got a lot of money from the government.
They're not always right.
Joby's real. I got to tell you, Carl, David probably in another time sat here and bemoaned the seamstresses.
Or the.
There you have it. You see all these people, they're talking in the future, a decade away, but yet you're living your life every day on the hopium, the prayers, the lies that QFS is here, it's already operational, and boom, the dinar is going on the Forex, which is literally in the middle of 2 nuclear power countries at war. The logic and reason. I don't know what happened to you folks. I really don't. I don't know I don't know what happened to you. I really don't. We're going to continue on. I'm going to move on to the next article, which should give you a little hope. Because nobody else is giving you any hope. They're just blowing smoke up your ass or fucking lying to you. Sorry. Excuse my French, but, it is what it is. This is from financemagnets.com. This is from Monday, April 14th, 2025 by Tariq Sikder, Sikder. Is XRP moving up ahead of a possible Ripple SWIFT integration? Banks have reportedly tested XRP's compatibility with SWIFT systems. Speculation is driven by past comments from Ripple CEO and a former SWIFT employee. Let's read a little bit of this. XRP recently moved up after finding support below the $2 level. The price increase is linked to a renewed speculation about a potential integration of XRP with SWIFT. Huh? I thought we were going to QFS. Oh, you got lied to. All right. SWIFT is the global system used for most cross-border payments. It handles trillions of dollars in transactions every day. Rumors about a partnership between Ripple and SWIFT have circulated before. Ripple's CEO, Brad Garlinghouse, has previously made comments suggesting the possibility of either an integration or a replacement. A former SWIFT employee also claimed that banks have tested XRP's compatibility with the SWIFT network. Coinfomania reported, I've never seen that before, XRP price gains amid Ripple SWIFT rumors. The latest claim came today. Market analyst John Squire stated that a deal between Ripple and SWIFT will be announced within the next 7 days. No official confirmation has been provided by either party so far. April 16th and April 21 could be the two most important dates in XRP history. And I'm not saying this for hype. I'm saying it's because of context, data, and narrative that's been building for years. Let's start with April 16th. Boom, 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 boom. So obviously this has not happened. But I wanted to show you this because I'm going to continue to show you this. What you are not going to see, folks, okay? You're not going to see anything that says QFS, SWIFT, SWIFT, QFS. SWIFT is becoming the QFS. QFS is becoming SWIFT. You're not going to see it. You're not going to see anything about the QFS or the quantum financial system or the quantum financial card. Let's move on. That's my watch later list. I tell you what. Let's. Here's one from the category. I'll go ahead and play her and get her out of the way. All right. Somebody you may or may not follow.
Hi guys, Sandy Ingram here. Welcome. Imagine a coin that could become the world's money messenger. I want you to listen very carefully to this opportunity. This is a membership topic, but the channel is sharing because it's just way too big to keep under wraps. What are we talking about? XRP. XRP is a type of digital currency similar to Bitcoin, but it's designed to transfer money at lightning speed between banks and countries. Instead of waiting days to send money overseas, XRP can do it in just a few seconds. It's like a lightning fast messenger that enables different currencies to communicate with each other. Today, XRP is worth approximately $2.19, but it could potentially surge into three-digit territory if it becomes the primary bridge for central bank digital currencies worldwide. The channel's voiceover will explain the details. I tried to make a purchase yesterday, but I must be doing something wrong because the transaction didn't go through. I will try again.
Why all the excitement? Over 130 countries covering 98% of the world's economy are exploring their own digital currencies. They need a fast, cheap, and neutral coin to connect them. And XRP could be that bridge. Right now, about $7.5 trillion changes hands every single day in global money markets. If XRP handled just 1% to 3% of CBDC transactions, that would be $75 billion to $225 billion a day. Yes, I know. The link to purchase XRP is in the description. You can use Coinbase, a US company on the stock market. Here are 3 possible price moves that could fund a whole new lifestyle depending on how much you invest. 1. Steady launch, 0 to 10%. If XRP powers 1 to 3% of payments, its base demand could send the price to around $10, $20. Second possibility, big boom, 10 to 30%. If more countries join the initiative and usage skyrockets, XRP could reach $50 to $100. Third possibility, epic rise. In a dream scenario, when XRP is the global go-to bridge, velocity drops, fewer coins speeding around, and supplies shrink. Prices might soar past $120, maybe even over $500 plus. The catch? It's not guaranteed. Let me repeat that. This investment is not guaranteed, but any move upward from the base price of $2.19 is a win. We need 3 heroic conditions. 1. Governments must approve XRP. 2. Central banks across the world need to adopt it. And 3. People must use it for real payments. Still, action is already happening. Countries like Palau, Bhutan, Georgia, and Montenegro are testing parts of the XRP ledger for their CBDC pilots. Even if they don't use the XRP coin itself, the tech behind it is gaining global attention. The channel's recommendation: do your research. And remember what the channel explained about old school investing versus high-tech investing. In short, XRP is currently a modest hero at around $2.19. But if it becomes the digital money connector powering real-world CBDCs, it could transform into a global legend, blasting its price to hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Do your research. The link to purchase is in the description. The channel recommends using Coinbase because the company is listed on the US stock market.
I want to thank Sandy Ingram. She is EDU Matrix over on YouTube for that little brief. So let's continue on, because I'm over my hour right now. I didn't want to be, but it is what it is.
We had massive breaking news yesterday in the space, and it has been a topic that we have talked about damn near since day one of this channel. There's no question about that. I went back and looked in my catalog, my video catalog, and I can go back as far as I've been in YouTube land talking about Ripple becoming a bank. And we know that Circle had just applied for a national bank license as well. But Ripple seeks their U.S. backing license, ladies and gentlemen, adding to a list of other crypto companies. And what do we know? What we know is this, and I want to give you this right now. I'm going to skip some of this to get to the part why Ripple is pursuing a federal banking license. Well, just you take a listen. Obtaining a national banking license offers multiple strategic advantages to Ripple. First of all, it would allow the company to streamline payment settlement processes, eliminating the need for intermediary banking. As a result, transaction times and costs would be optimized, increasing efficiency of real USD as a means of payment and digital vehicle. Secondly, Ripple aims to provide additional crypto financial services within a regulatory framework historically reserved for traditional credit institutions. With the OCC license, Ripple could offer not only stable coins, but also custody of digital assets and innovative financial products, expanding the range of solutions available for institutional and private clients. Now, listen to this part. Direct access to the Federal Reserve, the request for the master account. This is where it gets really big. Another crucial step for Ripple's strategy is the request for a master account at the Federal Reserve. Such authorization would allow the company to directly access the Fed's payment system and deposit reserves to guarantee real USD at the central bank. In this way, Ripple can ensure full dollar coverage of real USD, complying with emerging provisions and industry best practices, increasing the level of security and reliability perceived by investors. I'll tell you something. This is enormous. I mean enormous. Because not only will real USD be held at the Fed, but soon enough after, I think we'll also see XRP. Because what you're really saying here is if they get the master account, you're tying the XRP ledger into the Federal Reserve. That's what's happening. And then we have this reminder Yes, financial institutions can bridge stable coins with FedNow. Yes, they can. Financial institutions bridging stable coins, real-time rails, FedNow, RTP. And then what do we know? Ripple sits on the Faster Payments Council. Here's Peter Thielen from Ripple.
Hello, everyone. I'm Pat Thielen. I'm the Vice President of Global Account Management at Ripple. We truly believe that there is an internet of value coming, much like the internet provided with communications and email in the 90s and through the beginning of the millennium. Today, the payment system is advancing. And unlike a lot of the other crypto players in Ripple space, we truly believe that the revolution is going to occur from within. So the ecosystem that the U.S. Faster Payments Council has put together will be those players that will make sure we advance the industry. The working groups that are coming out, it's the cross-border, the QR, the directory model. These are really opportunities to take that user experience, the interoperability that has been designed in the other initiatives, and really apply it to real-world problems. Many countries have leapfrogged the U.S. in real-time payments, so this is a real opportunity for us to leverage a body like this. The playing field is set, and you can either sit on the sidelines or suit up with U.S. Faster Payments Council and change the game.
There you have it. Pretty clear cut, right? All of this is unfolding at the same time. Now I got to take you back. Oh, I got to take you back. Yeah, this is Miguel Villas right here. Shout out to Miguel, who was on stage at XRP Las Vegas. And I want to bring you into a very important clip here where we start right. Let's give it here. And you're going to hear Miguel Villas being asked 8 years ago. This is how long we've been talking about Ripple being a bank, at least here at my house. 8 years we've been talking about it. Now take a listen to what he says all the way back then.
I'm pretty stoked.
Like, how do you intend to distribute the rest of the XRP then?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, Mahir. And I don't necessarily know that we'll ever distribute all of it. Oh. In my mind's eye, there's a possibility where, we end up more of a lending kind of, more of a lender of last resort capacity, maybe. I think that would be a little strange for a software company, and maybe some things would have to change structurally. Maybe we have to have a different organization or something. Who knows, right?
Maybe we would have to change structurally, have a different organization, maybe. Who knows? Well, that moment has come 8 years later. Ripple applies for a banking license, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to Miguel Villas. The payment and stablecoin firm Ripple applies to become a national bank as a bevy of fintech and crypto firms seek such approval under President Trump's looser regulatory regime. Jack McDonald, the senior VP of Real USD, said this on the announcement: a national trust would bring a dual layer of regulation for Real USD as we continue to raise the bar for transparency, compliance in the stablecoin market, something few issuers today can claim. Well, let's hear from the one and only. It's CEO Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse. He says, true to our long-standing compliance roots, Ripple is applying for a national bank charter from the OCC. Damn, I love the way he just laid that down. If approved, we would have both state via NYDFS and federal oversight, a new and unique benchmark for trust in the stablecoin market. Earlier this week, via standard custody, we also applied for a Fed master account. While Congress is working towards clear rules and regulations, and banks, in a far cry from the years of Operation Choke Point 2.0, are leaning in. This access would allow us to hold real USD reserves directly with Fed and provide an additional layer of security to the future-proof trust in Real USD. Ripple always has and will continue to build trusted, battle-tested, and secure infrastructure. In a $250 billion plus market, Real USD stands out for putting regulation first, setting the standard that institutions expect. Now think about that. Now here's this part right here. Out of Brad's comment, you see highlighted here, this access would allow us to hold Real USD reserves directly with the Fed. That's why I say, and soon after that, the Federal Reserve will hold XRP too. And the reason I feel that way is because, look, if they're holding real USD runs on XRP ledger. So essentially what we're watching with this whole bank charter, bank license, is the XRP ledger be attached and connected to the Fed master account. Come on in.
A long battle. How much certainty does this provide? Is the entire case over?
So this provides a lot of certainty for Ripple, for frankly me personally, because the SEC had sued me. The SEC has abandoned their appeal, and so they filed suit in December of 2020. We won on the key parts of the case in the summer of 23. Judge Torres made a ruling that XRP in and of itself was not a security. That's almost a verbatim quote. The SEC filed an appeal about 8 months ago, and what they've now agreed is that they're going to drop that appeal. We still have a cross appeal pending, and so we go from being defendant really to plaintiff. So we now are in the driver's seat to determine how we want to proceed.
Are you dropping it?
We're going to see. It feels a lot better to be on the offense than the defense. 4 years, we spent over $150 million defending that case. Not just for Ripple, but for the whole industry. I think it was really important that this SEC, the Gensler SEC, was really trying to bully and continue lawfare, filing lawsuits and lawsuits and lawsuits against crypto companies.
Okay, can you do that? How does that exactly work? Because there is a level of dilution for XRP when more supply is brought in on a regular basis.
So this is one of the things I'm glad you asked about, because there's frankly misinformation, sometimes disinformation, people spreading falsehoods out there. The amount of XRP that was created in 2012 when it was first started, when that blockchain was first started, was 100 billion units. That can't be increased. It's slightly deflationary, and now there's about 99.9 billion units. Ripple owns about 42% of that supply. We have had, and for, 8 years, we published something called the XRP Markets Report, where we share how much we are introducing into the market, because we want that to be predictable. And that has been the case for many years now. And so we will continue to make sure that's very predictable. At some point, maybe we won't be selling as much. We'll see how that plays out in the future. But right now, frankly, we get criticized for owning too much, and then we're criticized for selling some. But we want to do that in a constructive way, which is what we've done for years.
It certainly didn't sound like.
%93 chance U.S. national debt surpasses $38 trillion in 2025, according to crypto prediction platform Polymarket, which, by the way, is a massive, massive number. And we better have a plan for it. That's all I can say, because if you don't, it's certainly got plans for all of us. And that wouldn't look good. Now, this is the U.S. Treasury Secretary, and let's hear what he says about the CBO has generated $2.8 trillion in revenue. There's a reason why we're talking about all of this that sits outside of crypto. You'll get it in a second.
Let's think about this. You can't have it both ways. If tariff's going to hurt the economy, then we're going to pick up, according to the CBO, if you want to take CBO scoring over the 10-year window, we pick up $2.8 trillion in revenue. And what we've seen so far is that tariffs haven't hurt. The dog that didn't bark was that tariffs going to hurt the economy, we're going to hurt the market. Market had the fastest recovery ever, April, from a 15% decline, and we're at new highs in the market. So I've made my career on listening to the market, not Wall Street economists, so I'm going to stick with what the market's telling me.
And you know what? Scott Bessent, that is quite a statement coming from him. Last time I looked, his net worth was sitting at about $700 million. So He listens to the markets pretty well. Okay. The reason I'm showing you that is because of the danger of these high numbers. $38 trillion. And obviously the U.S. Treasury Secretary and the current administration and President Trump all working to get the country turned around, which is a tricky situation because in some cases, not only are you reworking trade deals around the world, you're trying to cut costs, but at the same time, you're also trying to cut the tax incentives so you can inspire growth, which has you absorbing more cost, obviously, as well. So this gets a very, very tricky game that's happening. Now, years ago, there was the simulation wars, crypto simulation, monetary simulation wars that took place with the likes of a Gary Gensler and other important people in politics and regulators sitting around a table doing a mock simulation. And this is the stuff that they were worried about in these mock simulations. Currency wars, currency manipulation, digital yuan. Take a listen.
We have been leapfrogged by others, by digital currency, by digital Chinese currency. Why? Because, frankly, our central bank has been slow. And there's an appointment coming in January of 22. The president's got to decide whether to change over who's leading the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve runs our payment system. And I think we need to move that Federal Reserve into the modern era.
What about in 5 minutes if we hear that the world is trading oil in this digital yuan? What does that do to our economy?
Which, by the way, since this simulation, currency war simulation has taken place, they have started doing that.
I think we really have to ask some of these questions so we don't have to wait 3 or 4 days for you to call a meeting every time something important happens. Thank you.
Here is the way that I'm going to summarize what I will read out to the president. Per the Secretary of State's recommendation that there will be a POTUS call to President Xi. We're going to talk about new avenues for cooperation. We need a strategy to, one, modernize our SWIFT system. I think the word was harden from cyber attack, from the North Koreans in particular. But we need to develop and present options to the president for a U.S. equivalent of a digital currency, either a private-public partnership or, if the Treasury is able to do it with the Fed, something that would be a public-only option. We need a strategy to resuscitate U.S. financial prowess, I think is the way you put it, Madam Vice President, and examine this idea of secondary sanctions and whether in overuse of them, we've actually undermined our ability to use them down the road.
Breaking news out of Brussels this evening. A cyber attack on SWIFT, the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication, has resulted in the theft of $3 billion from commercial banks based in Germany, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE.
So there you have it. And that was all from a simulated currency war years ago, dealing with the real threats that are happening today. And then we have to remind you that that's all discussing market infrastructure when you're talking about SWIFT. Well, guess what? Brad Garlinghouse is set to appear at a market infrastructure banking GOP hearing next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Should be more pressure to get this bill on the front burner in D.C. now that the Genius Act and the big, beautiful bills are out of the way. Well, here it is. Next Wednesday, here it is, July 9th, 10 a.m., 5 days from now. We're going to have the Honorable Summer Mersinger, CEO of Blockchain Association, along with the CEO of Chainalysis, Jonathan Levin, Dan Robinson, General Partner of Paradigm, and yes, Mr. Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple. Talking about market infrastructure, XRP Ledger, hello, currency wars, 38 trillion in debt, right? Oh, I'm not done yet. Remember when Greg Kidd just said this at XRP Las Vegas on stage?
It's focused only on deposits and payments, no branches, no lending. Basically, I will continue to promote legislation. So a company like Ripple could actually get a bank license, right?
That's the kind of stuff you hear at XRP Las Vegas before it goes down, ladies and gentlemen. And U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says there's a $2 trillion in possible stablecoin U.S. Treasury demand. $2 trillion. $2 trillion. And what do we see? Ripple applies for a U.S. banking license and a national banking charter right there. That's what's going down. Yeah. And what did Brad highlight? Banks are leaning in. This access would allow us to hold real USD reserves directly with the Fed and provide additional layer of security to future-proof trust in real USD. Let's talk about that. Let's unpack that. It would allow us to hold real USD reserves directly at the Fed. Love that. Love that. It also tells me that the XRP ledger is connected to the Federal Reserve. Come on in. Yeah. Now, do you remember back in March when Watcher Guru put this out? And it was a tweet that was removed, and they said that they were hacked. They got their account back in like 2 seconds. Just in, SWIFT nearing agreement with Ripple to use XRP for cross-border payments with billions of XRP secured in escrow as liquidity reserves. And then they took it down like 1 minute later, and 3 minutes later they said, sorry guys, we were hacked. In all my years of the internet, I've never seen anyone hack and get their account back so quickly. I think it was a tweet, and then they were told, wait. That went out a little too soon. And remember this guy, Graham Bright? Interviewed him for the movie Kryptonaires that people always say we never made, but did. It's unbelievable.
SWIFT is the preeminent messaging system for the financial industry, which covers, say, payments, FX, trade, in terms of securities, etc., NOSTA reconciliations, etc. What we're looking with crypto, though, is where SWIFT would have a store and forward system for most of its payment transactions, and where you need service level agreements that in a certain time I will do something, the payment turns up at a certain time during the day. Here we're looking at the new network styles, which allow instant, real-time movement of the funds and visibility of those funds as well. So we would not have a situation where banks need to come back to you and say, have my funds arrived? It's 3 days later. I need to find out or find query messages moving around the network. There's nothing like that. I don't believe Ripple is going to replace SWIFT. Ripple is one of the complementary networks, which is going to allow those institutions who need real time to make use of that. And I think we're also seeing that SWIFT are changing their network capability so that real time will be a possibility as well. But we may also see Ripple XRP moving across the SWIFT network as a currency when we're perhaps using something like FX.
There you have it. And that's from years ago, Graham Bright talking about that. And now we see Brad Garlinghouse going before Congress next Wednesday. And then remember, at the most recent Apex, we saw Brad Garlinghouse predict XRP will handle 14% of SWIFT volume in the next 5 years. I can't play. He says 14% in 5 years. He says here. So, I mean, and then they go through David, and he says SWIFT today is 2 ways to get us liquidity, messaging and liquidity. And he says, it's focused on the liquidity is the more important part, right? And then he says here, XRP. So he says, I'd say, in the next 5 years, XRP could get 14% of SWIFT. 14%. That's a hell of a number. James Rule grabbed it too. He brought it out today. He said 14% of 180 trillion that SWIFT does. The SWIFT system facilitates trillions of dollars in cross-border payments annually. Specifically, it processes over 5 trillion in money transfers each day, which translates to approximately 180 trillion per year. This makes it the dominant global financial messaging system. No doubt about it. But what does it come out to for 14% of SWIFT if we capture that volume? And looking here, it gives a range of price that could go conservatively from $2.97 all the way up to $99.15. That's the range of price it breaks down because it can't absolutely know. Although it does highlight it right here, $17.85 to $23.81 is more realistic for the 21 trillion annual volume estimate. So that lines up with the targets we've seen from Dark Defender and Egg Rag Crypto, which gives them more credence to me because I know that these guys have called a lot of other things like daily closes and all of this stuff really well over the last several years. So the way I see it is that this is getting super exciting now that Brad is going to be appearing and testifying in front of a committee at Congress on market infrastructure, which is exactly what the XRP ledger is. a brand new market infrastructure that has a built-in layer one decentralized exchange for all the other chains of the world to plug into, because it's a multi-chain world after all. Yeah. And you know what? And when I start singing is when you know we got to end this video. So I just want to say no freedom zone today, because I know, look, it is a day to celebrate your freedom in this country and our independence. And especially now, we're getting it back. The woke culture is dead, ladies and gentlemen, and thank God for it. All I can say is I hope everybody has a happy and safe holiday with your family and friends. And if you're not in the country celebrating, celebrate for us, would you? My goodness. And I celebrate for all of you, if you're not in the country as well, that you are also in a place and a land where the people are taking control of their country and getting the power back in the hands of we, the people.
And finally, the last video. And I would like to reiterate for you folks, what you haven't seen in the last 45 minutes, quantum financial system, because it doesn't exist. All you've heard these folks talk about is SWIFT, XRP, and what is the fastest cross-border payment system? XRP, Ripple Labs. So anybody who's talking about the QFS, they're fucking you. Is what it is. All right. And we will tidy up the show with this final video again from Digital Perspectives. This is from 12 hours ago. See if I can keep this under 2 hours. I sure tried. Tried to keep it at an hour, but didn't work.
We know we have a big week or two ahead as the U.S. House officially declares Crypto Week starting July 14th. Meanwhile, we know the bills under review are the Clarity Act for market structure, for which, by the way, Brad Garlinghouse will be testifying next week. He will be testifying next week, I believe it's July 9th, on market structure. And doesn't that seem fitting, knowing that the XRP ledger is really fit for purpose for payments and tokenization? Come on in. Yeah. They're also going to be talking about the Anti-CBDC Surveillance Act and the Genius Act innovation boost. So we'll keep an eye on all of those things. We have a really exciting couple weeks in front of us. Simon McLaughlin, the CEO of Uphold, reminder that Uphold is currently right now either looking to IPO or looking for the perfect merger acquisition deal. How about that one? Simon McLaughlin says tokenization is beginning to influence key parts of the system. Tokenized treasuries, 7.39 billion, global bonds, 300 million, private credit, 26.42 billion, commodities, 1.62 billion cap. Adoption is growing, still early days, but developments are worth watching. And again, that's why I'm so excited about the XRP ledger and Ripple, the company, is because of all the tokenization that's about to take place. And speaking of tokenization, Ondo Finance, we're bringing tokenized real-world assets to the XRP ledger. You remember the Ondo Finance flagship short-term U.S. Treasury Fund, OUSG, now live on the XRP ledger in conjunction with BlackRock's Biddle Fund, tokenizing U.S. debt onto the XRP ledger. That's all. That's all that's happening. Just tokenizing the debt of the United States of America onto the XRP ledger. What kind of validation does that give you when you hear it that way? What kind of security does that provide for you when you start to hear things that way? It's really remarkable. I tell you, I'm super excited. And then we get even better news. Ondo Finance on the 250th birthday of America says we're proud to announce that we're taking the next step in our mission to bring financial markets on chain. And in doing so, Ondo is acquiring Oasis Pro, including It's SEC registered broker dealer alternative trading system and transfer agent. You see all the pieces coming together now? Laying the groundwork for Ondo to develop a regulated tokenized securities ecosystem for blockchain-based financial products for U.S. investors. This is getting ready to be so big. I'll tell you how, you know how big this is getting ready to be? It's getting ready to be so big, it's the way that it's done. There won't be another way of doing it. That's what's coming. Now, remember this, we just did a big, heavy connection.
Hold on. Did he just say there won't be another way to do it? That this will become the standard? Let's replay that.
Done. There won't be another way of doing it. That's what's coming. Now, remember this, we just did a big, heavy connection between SWIFT and the possible connections between Ripple and XRP. I certainly believe it's all right there. And videos past, we've gone over how Citi, which is a huge liquidity provider, and SWIFT already working with Ripple in many, many different capacities to prepare for the new digital on-chain economy and the new movement of payments on digital distributed ledger technology. But here is an old clip that a lot of people told us we can't talk about anymore. We're going to talk about it today. And it's
all right. I'm going to finish that video, but I want to go back. I want to show you something. Okay. Folks, the lies. They're outstanding. When I read this stuff, my mind just goes, oh my God. There's people believing this. Okay. So let me go back and show you what this stupid, idiotic, lying clown told you. Trump knows he's not just returning to govern, he's returning to unlock. Behind the scenes, asset seizures under EO 13848 and ISO 222 integrations. BlackRock collapses and the QFS onboarding all point to one convergence. The trust is being prepared for activation. The audacity that somebody would put that out there to make you believe that that is a fact. When I'm showing you the real players, okay, the powerful people who make decisions on policy, regulations, procedures, standards. Quit listening to these fucking idiotic clowns posting bullshit, fantasies as fact. Please stop. Okay? Stop. I know it's your life. Your whole life now is just on this merry-go-round of the RV, the currency, and you're in all these rooms. You paid for it. You know, now you went out and you're embarrassed. You're shamed. You're frustrated, you're anxious. Most of you are poor and broke because you've been living on the opium every day. Now you're strung out. You're like an addict on the streets of Portland, Oregon, strung out on fentanyl. That's who you are. That's how I see you. I'm the person walking on the sidewalk going, God damn, what happened to them? How'd their life become that? That's how I see you. To this day, to this freaking day, okay? I had somebody contact me through Mark Z's show who lives down the road. Their air conditioner, their main air conditioning unit to AC their house has been out for going on 3 weeks. For 3 weeks, they've been living on the opium that tomorrow's the day. And this person has sent me this garbage trash all day, every day for weeks, trying to convince me that I'm going to wake up and be rich. All my problems are going to go away, that the world's going to reset. And I told this person repeatedly, that's trash. That's garbage. That's lies. You're such a hater. You're so negative, Floyd. You're such a downer. No, I live in reality. And you know what? Not one of you, sorry, and I'm going to call you exactly what you are, because this is what you are, okay? Because you tried to make me believe a lie. And you didn't double down. You didn't triple down. You didn't quadruple down. You didn't quintuple down. You decided you didn't want to talk to me anymore because I refused to believe the lies. And I was being negative. So all you pieces of shit out there who tried to do that to me and haven't sent me an apology or some self-accountability, fuck you, go the fuck away. I don't ever want to talk to you again. Goodbye. I'm just being real, okay? You want to live in fantasy? I don't. You want to live a lie? I don't. I want to live in positivity, not negativity. I'm not going to have somebody drag me down every fucking day with the bullshit about it's next week, it's the next 3-day holiday, it's this, it's that, it's that, it's that. And nobody wants to come out and say, you know what, I was wrong. I gave you an incorrect date. Nope. They just, well, I contacted my bond folks, and my bond folks, they're just not answering the phone anymore. I don't know what to think. Really? Well, I know what to think. I think all of you motherfuckers got the same fucking bond contacts. And they're not even really bond contacts. They're just full of shit. That's what I think. I can think what I want to think. So until you could come up with some proof, okay, under oath, like I do, I'll listen. Doesn't mean I'm going to adhere to it and move on. No, I'll listen. But you better not come half-stepping. You better not come with some bullshit. So for all those sorry motherfuckers out there that have been calling it Bruce, Wolverine, TNT Tony, Mike Barra, Gentel, all those fucking piece of shit motherfuckers, okay? I'm going to call them what they are because they're pieces of shit. They're lying to you. They're just in it for the fucking money, okay? Whether it's 99 cents a month, 99 cents a week, $5 a month, $100 a month, you're supporting them. So you keep on doing that. Now we're going to go close out here. And again, what you did not see, quantum financial system, quantum financial cards. You haven't heard any of these movers and shakers mention anything about that, have you? No, because it doesn't fucking exist. It's a theoretical hypothetical technology that does not exist. All right, last video, folks, and let's crank it up. I got 22 minutes. Woo! Right? All right. And we look to be cranked up.
It's the reminder that SWIFT using R3 Corda to settle payments using XRP. Now, they can use other assets. That is a fair thing to share. And this is an old video for which
ecosystem, which
R3 back in the day said, well, we only used XRP as like a placeholder in this demographic. But the reality is that this placeholder XRP is something that can be used in R3 system. So it's not just a placeholder. It might have been for this video, but it is something that can be used. And it is something that's going to be used by the Federal Reserve and the Faster Payments Now Council and the Faster Payments and all of this business. So we know where this is going, but take a listen to this as a reminder of how long we've been hearing all of this talk about XRP being used in conjunction with R3 and SWIFT.
Asset ecosystem, which kind of leads into my next point. So we've had some recent announcements that have garnered some interest. We created a payment settlement application that's open source. Anybody can download it, anybody can use it or plug into it or what have you. And when we first did it, we did it for XRP, for the Ripple protocol standard. And that got a lot of people very excited that, oh my God, R3 and Ripple have settled their differences and are in bed together. No, not quite. It's just that it was very easy to do as a kind of as an MVP. But now we announced a partnership with SWIFT. So SWIFT GPI will plug into our payment settlement application, or actually vice versa. We'll plug into the GPI network. And again, the announcement about the Swiss digital exchange was a big news for us.
So there you have it. You know, this has been a reality for a very long time. And then we have even more current news is EastNet's payment safe, where EastNet makes it very clear that they've connected distributed ledger technology like Ripple with SWIFT. Just listen, this is already done.
If you haven't heard of PaymentSafe is EastNet's payment hub that unifies dealing with all kinds of payment networks, whether domestic, international, and of course SWIFT as well, to allow an enhanced STP mode on all different payments. Now, the importance of PaymentSafe over here is that it has an important component, which is a universal translator for the exchange of different payment formats. Now, of course, one of the most important formats is the legacy MT that you already know, and the new ISO 222 format, including the CBPR Plus. We offer a lot of. If you haven't heard of PaymentSafe,
so there you have it, right there, ladies and gentlemen. Look at it, read it, and weep. It's all right there. You heard him say it. Look, this is so exciting to me because it's all the stage is set. And then while all of this is, you know, a very real conversation, more real than it ever has been, what do we find out about Ripple? They're applying for a bank license. And they're also applying through Standard Custody, which they own, for a Fed master account so they can hold the reserves for the real USD directly with the Fed. This is why I believe it's another step towards Ripple becoming the Fed 2.0 for the new digital on-chain economy. The Fed itself for the paper friction world, right? For Ripple, issuing the real USD, the digital dollar in the new digital on-chain economy, Ripple stands the chance to become the Fed 2.0 in the new digital on-chain economy. That's how I see it. Just like I firmly believe that XRP Ledger will be adopted as a national payment layer and more likely an international payment layer as well. And that's why it's important for them to have a banking license, because then they become a lender of last resort for XRP. That's why I also believe they won't get rid of it all. Oh, this is so fun to watch. The XRP Ledger really purpose-built for payments and tokenization. Jack McDonald, Senior VP of the Real USD. I am highly inclined to agree with him. It's exactly right. And what about the idea that if we get this national payment layer, international payment layer adoption to the XRP Ledger, could the price be set or controlled like oil, like the conversation I had with the Honorable Cristiano Carlo, where we talked exactly about the U.S. Treasury issuing U.S. digital asset bond issuance so they can buy up the asset to issue those bonds and then in turn control the price like they do with oil? Yeah, I think so. And you know what? So does Ripple Van Winkle. Give him a follow.
Did you know XRP's price could one day be set and controlled? That's right, by the world's biggest banks and institutions. This isn't just a theory. Nope. It has happened before with gold, oil, and entire currencies. If you want to know how this could happen to XRP and how XRP could become the backbone of global finance and what history tells us about price setting, Watch the full breakdown in my latest video. It is linked down below.
Go check it out. I bet you it's fire. Shout out to Ripple Van Winkle. Look, I mean, you guys know I've been here since before I even was doing YouTube. I've believed this since 2017, before I was ever in YouTube in 2018, 2019. I believe that the price could either be set or controlled, and it does look more like we're moving towards like controlling it like the way they do oil price, by having enough reserves that they can sell some if they need to and bring the price down, or they can continue to issue bonds and buy it up off the market and help push the price up. That is how you price control an asset. That's where we are, ladies and gentlemen. And this little chart right here, the long story short is they talked to a couple different technical analysts, and whether it's Mellerin or whether it's Egg Rag Crypto, they're both seeing moon on the calendar, ladies and gentlemen. It's just a matter of when. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. I hope you had a wonderful 4th of July with family and friends, and I will catch all of you on the next one. Welcome back to the show. We got a great...
Thank you, Bradley Kimes at Digital Perspectives, for your input into this show. I really do appreciate you. He knows who I am, so thank you. I really do appreciate it. Fair Use Act. This is in no way legal, medical, or financial advice, any shape, form, or fashion. This is for educational purposes only. I hope I've given you the proper definitions, descriptions, and functionability of what the quantum financial system is, the QFS, the SWIFT system, and Basel III, and where the economy is going in our country, in the United States, and worldwide, what the future looks like. So is there any trust or estate like the St. Germain or Rodriguez or any one of these other ones coming to save the day? No. Is Trump going to save the day? No. Okay. Are we back in an 1871 republic? No. 10 Days of Darkness? No. EBS? No. You see all these lies they've been pontificating over and over and over, and they allow you to live on fear of missing out, fear of this, fear of that. Okay. You're not going to miss out, folks. You're not going to miss out. Most of you have been in this long enough where somebody's going to pick up a phone or they're going to call or text you and go, hey, you remember when? It's finally here. Remember, it took them almost 2 decades to regulate crypto. We're back to AI. I have a couple minutes. I want to show you a quick little video that everybody should watch. Because if this doesn't terrify you, well, you know, I don't think anything will, but that is what it is. So the outro will play after this video. So if you don't want to stick around for the outro, and you don't have to if you don't want to, because it doesn't matter to me, it doesn't affect me in any shape, form, or fashion. I'm still going to go do what I plan to do today. Still going to go to sleep tonight, wake up tomorrow morning and do my day, and nothing's going to affect that. And so whether you like or you subscribe to my channel or you hit that notification bell, so when I do put out new videos, you do get a warning. Or if you want to leave a comment below, or, you know, like, I don't know why people do it, but they hit the thumbs down, you know. I get a video, it's got 20 views and I got five likes and 1 thumb down. Whatever. So the haters will hate. That's why I don't care anymore. Okay. I'm going to continue to do what I do day after day after day. Nobody's going to stop me, because nobody's going to come over to my front door and go knock on it and go, hey, come on out here, Floyd. Let's catch the square. I brought my gloves. I brought my mouthpiece. Let's go, baby. Hang on. Let me turn my phone on. I want to record this. When I go out there and beat the fucking brakes off your bitch ass. That's how that's going to work. So, free speech is alive and well, as always, over here, and nothing. What is it, Floyd? Nothing but the truth, so help me God. And if you can't handle the truth, get the fuck out of the room, okay? Matter of fact, get the fuck out of the house. Go somewhere else, okay? Because we don't want you anymore. If you're going to be stuck on stupid and fuck around and find out the hard way, I don't want anything to do with you. I don't want you on my show. I don't want you on my platform. I don't want anything to do with you. Go away. If you want to come get some truth and you want to live in reality with logic and reason, come join me. You're more than welcome. I'll educate you every chance I get, every video I do, all about educating you so you can make wise decisions in your life. They may not be the right decision at the time, but at least you'll have logic and reason and truth to make a wise decision. So we're going to close out with this video. Thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate each and every one of you. Otherwise, I'm just some dude sitting in my house talking to my laptop. All right, this is Unitree's G1, the world's first side flipping humanoid robot. If you don't know how, if you don't understand this, well, then you're probably never going to get it. Whoa. Side flipping robot, not a front flip, not a back flip, side flip. AI and robotics, folks, pay attention. And by the way, there's no such thing as a quantum financial system, quantum computing system, or quantum financial card. And if anybody asks you for your currency and they're going to send you a safekeeping receipt, say, not no, not hell no, but get the fuck away from me. Because they're trying to steal your money. 3 things you can never get back, folks. Time, energy, and money. Don't waste them. Don't give them away to some greedy motherfucker who has their own self-interest and not yours. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next show. Thank you for hanging around after the show. I want to present to you Tailor-Made Trust, featuring Ann LaFleur's Trust Series, available at tailormadetrust.com, as well as the fearlessfloydshow.com store. Here are a handful of the available trusts that can be built, custom tailored to your needs and desires. 25 different trusts, plus the DNA Trust Addendum. And as always, Ann LaFleur's classic trusts and ancillary classes. And also Ann's books on trust and specialty trust, which I also co-authored. If you'd like to get a class, a book, or have a trust custom built for you, always available at the fearlessfloydshow.com store. And I'll see you in the next show. Thank you for watching and have an awesome day.